You're listening to Pole Parlour, a fun, inspiring podcast for all those bewitched by pole dance. Each week, your Madam Crimson Minxxx has candid conversation with unique, engaging individuals from within and around the pole dance community. Pole Parlour is passionate about preaching creativity, soulful sensuality, and empowerment through pole dance.
You know how we do.
Welcome everyone to Pole Parlour. This is episode 10, Brian Wolf. I'm your host, Crimson Minxxx. On this episode, we have Brian Wolf. Brian is an LA-based pole dance teacher, competitor, and performer. On this episode, we talk about his experience being a male poler in a female-dominant industry, the benefits of cross-training in different areas of dance, performance art, and fitness to become a well-rounded poler, and what it takes to engage an audience, be it in an entertainment or competitive performance. Brian's good vibes are contagious in this episode. You can tell he really cares for and enjoys being in the pole dance community. And as with all episodes, head over to the blog at poleparlour.com to check out Brian's post-podcast interview where he shares photos, music, video, and more. Now let's get going.
I'm a boss-ass bitch.
Welcome, Brian Wolf, to the Pole Parlour podcast. How are you today?
Fantastic. How are you guys? Oh.
There we go. Everyone's good. It's not a live audience, believe it or not, but in the future, everyone's doing really well, and I'm really happy to have you.
Yeah, so happy to be here. I'm very blessed and excited to talk with you guys, so it's going to be really fun.
And just to point out, you're our first male poler, so no pressure, but...
I know, no pressure, right?
But I think we picked the right guy, so...
Thank you. I'm super honored and super happy to be representing the men and welcoming the Pole Parlour, so...
Yeah, so let's jump on in. So for how long have you been pole dancing, and how did you first discover pole?
I've been pole dancing. I'm going on to about my third year. I started pole dancing at a studio called Luscious Maven.
Which is in Los Angeles for people.
Yes, in Los Angeles. I actually started taking burlesque classes there because one company I used to work with, the Hells Bells Burlesque, they used to teach a little bit of burlesque at the studio, and I've been with them for a couple years. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start helping one of my instructors, Allie, at the studio. And right after Allie's class was a pole class. And I was teaching for about, I'm kicking myself now because I was teaching there for almost a year with Allie. And I was like, And then so finally one of my students was like, hey, why don't you just stay after for a pole class? So I stayed after, and I met my first ever pole dance teacher, Veronica Nichols. She is now my pole mom. She's huge mother figure in my life. She turned into my coach. So I've been with her literally since day one. She's trained athletes such as Sasha Lee, Bryn Rue, Nadia Sharif, just a bunch of, big. I'm so lucked out that I met with her, and she's my go-to for everything. And everything that you've seen right now is all Veronica.
So shout out for Veronica.
Yes, Miss Veronica, you got it, girl.
And so once you started, you were hooked.
Oh, I was instantly hooked. I remember it was a very different process than what normal pole students go through because Veronica was teaching the only co-ed class at that time, and there was a strength and conditioning class. And right when I got on the pole, I was hooked. And my first move I had to learn was an outside leg hang. So obviously I skipped level 1, probably went to a level 3 or level 4 with just a crazy move. And so I got it. It took a couple tries, but I eventually got it. And what I did is after that, I was like, Veronica, I want to work with you every single week. So for my first year of pole dancing, it was just privates. I was doing privates about twice a week with Veronica, getting very costly. And me and Veronica bonded immensely. And it eventually literally turned into my mother. And it was great because as time went on, Luscious Maven really started saying that, guys aren't so scary. And, I started introducing co-ed classes. So now most of this classes at the studio are co-ed. So I feel very blessed that, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Yeah, you paved the way.
And now it's like, I'm glad now I'm teaching at Luscious Made. It's funny how thing works out. And, so now it's like a full circle, and now it's like nice to see guys come into class. Now I teach at different studios. I teach sometimes sub classes here and there at the Vertitude, the Choreography House, this beautiful studio that I'm at right now is Metamorphosis. I'm one of the teachers for Wednesday night.
Yeah, for those who are watching, this is not Brian's house.
No,
with, majestic curtains and 8 poles in the background. He's at a pole studio recording.
I'm at a pole studio. So you can sometimes see little poles and earrings back there. But yes, thank you so much for Metamorphosis for letting me use your studio. And so I'm not out in the rain right now.
And so do you have a history? You said you did burlesque dance. Were you raised dancing? Do you have a long history in dance? Or?
It's funny how it started out. I started out dancing in community college. I took a hip-hop class. And I went into a hip-hop dance crew, which looking back at my videos is really funny because I look like my mom dancing at a wedding where I'm very stiff and weird. I mean, you got to start somewhere. I started with hip-hop, and then it evolved to jazz funk, and then I found the Hells Bells with burlesque. And I was with them for about 3 years.
Wow.
I used to perform burlesque around Hollywood. We did the house. We did a little thing at the Viper Room one time, House of Blues. So it was really fun to kind of, get out with burlesque, and I feel it really had a great toll on me when it came to performing because I took the elements of burlesque and kind of fuse it into pole, and I think it was also a way for me to get over my stage fright because burlesque you have to really be out there, and so I feel that got over my stage fright with pole, and now I'm not afraid to make eye contact. You know me, I'll sometimes, go up to people, steal their drinks if I'm performing on stage. So I'm not afraid to go there.
Yeah, because that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. You really do stand out as a performer, and that is really good advice for people that are maybe having trouble connecting with themselves that way. Then maybe go take some burlesque classes and.
Oh, totally, yeah. It's a great way, and sometimes I always tell my students it's okay to stem away from pole for a little bit. It's like even if you don't do pole, it's not going anywhere. You're always going to have the studios there. You're always going to have dance there, but it's always good to really broaden your horizons. And as people always say, cross-train a little bit. So, I mean, people are like, oh, I cross-train at the gym. My cross-training was burlesque and fire dancing, all that fun stuff. So.
Yes, we talked about this last week on the podcast with Alethea Austin about how, instead of taking the time to, instead of trying to raise higher and higher in terms of your abilities to do tricks or things like that, is to kind of really expand in a more well-rounded way and to kind of polish yourself in a performance aspect and in feeling comfortable in a freestyle aspect, which may involve taking some time off from, doing tricks all the time, but which is it's a part of the repertoire. It's amazing, but don't always feel that you have to go up.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Cross-train. I like that. Cross-train with burlesque and fire dancing.
Striptease and burlesque and all that stuff. You too can just become, get crazy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this probably comes from your burlesque background too, but I've noticed whenever you perform, you're very conscious of having good costume.
Yes. I feel that in any performance, even if I am performing or if I'm behind the scenes judging, I do think costume is a big element of the performing aspect. I would rather see someone serve in a costume, and maybe their tricks aren't up to par, but I'd rather, if they are serving to a costume rather than someone who's just performing in regular pole clothes, I'd rather I'd give it to people who serve, because the thing is, it takes time, it takes effort. Speaking of, I was literally, funny you mentioned this, I came from a costume fitting for competition coming up on April 16th. So it's one of those, it just takes a lot of time and it's a lot of effort, and it really shows how much you put into stuff. And it's a great thing. Veronica always says, you always put whatever you put into pole, you're going to get out of it. So especially with this competition, I'm working hard. I'm putting, all my effort into this. I'm working hard. One way or another, I'll get rewarded. We'll see what happens. So,
Yeah. That's well. What competition is this?
this is National Aerial Pole Art, also called people call it Napa. It was funny. The first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh my god, it's in Napa!" Like I was excited to
We drinking wine.
and I was like, "Oh, that's just the competition."
See, and that's good to know that this is not something that you can just reserve when you make it to Miss Pole Dance America. You can, for all your local competitions too, consider being well-rounded in all areas of your stage presence, and that extends to all areas of your costume and your stage presence, and of course your tricks and your flow and all of that as well.
Yeah, it is very important, and it does, even if sometimes even a little costume helps. Maybe if you have one simple rhinestone, I'll see that rhinestone. You worked hard, you got that E6000. So it is a very important aspect, I feel. Some people, are like, oh, I'm not really into costumes, or I'm feeling comfortable in costumes. Like, I get it, but sometimes, if you're not into it, then you got to own it.
Yes.
Own costume, own that stage presence. Because when you're on the stage, I always say, there's a difference between a dancer and a performer. Mm-hmm. A dancer can, do all the moves, but a performer really draws you in. It's kind of like being an actor. And even in burlesque, you see when people do performing, a perfect example is we have an event out here called Star Girls, where it's a bunch of girls in burlesque who are dressed up as Star Wars characters. And you really get into the performance because they're dressed up as like Darth Vader or Boba Fett. It's like you're in it because I'm like, I see you.
Yeah, I've seen that show, and it's how it's really good. And so look it up if you're in the Los Angeles area. But also, it's something that we've, again, talk about a lot on this podcast, that pole is transitioning into this more memorable thing, and it's transitioning out of the studio and into the mainstream. And as it's transitioning, it's this awareness of entertainment value and performance value and being a show girl, show boy, that really helps elevate the awareness and the appreciation of pole dance. So
yes, definitely, and also it makes the audience, I want you to dance with me. I don't want you to dance with me.
Yes, yeah, your competition pieces stand out because of that. So good for you. And I know that you actually were part of a scholarship program, and this is something that I know studios around the world have, that you can apply to become a scholarship student at a studio where then you are very deeply embedded in pole for a certain amount of time.
Really emphasize deeply, very, very deeply.
Yeah.
Lots of pole.
Yeah. So can you talk to us about that for most of us who have never and will never do something like that?
So the program I was in was run through the Choreography House, and it was basically a scholarship program. Our class was because basically the Choreography House started in a little tiny apartment, and then Kelly Yvonne got a brand new space. It was bigger, so knowing through the grapevine, we're like, okay, they can only choose 2 scholarship students because before her place was so small, and now that she moved to the bigger space, we didn't know, but she was like, oh, we're going to choose 6 schollies. So you go into the audition, so you have to audition. I was in full costume, of course, you know me. And she chose 6 schollies, so it was me and 5 other girls. And we really bonded. We became a family. And it wasn't all puppies, rainbows, and kittens. It was, lots of pole. We had a set curriculum every single week, and when Kelly would run her shows, we would have to run backstage, make sure everything was in line. So we do get the aspect of performing with our pole dance, and we get the aspect of behind the scenes. So I feel it was a great comprehensive program. And so right now it's still going on to this day. So right now there's a new round of schollies, and it's nice because halfway through the program you get mentored by one of the instructors, and I was mentoring I was big fans of her. Her name is Kay. We call her Kay Rizzle at the studio. She's this really this like bombshell. She's so beautiful. So I was really excited to get to work with her. And
who's this?
Her name is Kay Rizzle. Kay Rizzle.
Okay.
And so I turned into B Rizzle, and I got to work with her. She really taught me how to structure a class, and it really helped because after the program, I was already a certified teacher. I had to go get my pole dancing insurance, and after my program was over, I really branched out and started teaching, the spiderwebs, different studios around Southern California. So it was a great program.
How long is it? What was your commitment lengthwise? And then how many times per week were you committed to be at the studio training?
It was funny because our class was probably committed more because we were like, okay, because we had our minimum requirements, but we just kept going and kept going. So our minimum requirements, I think, were, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 6 or 7 classes a week or so, but we always went over, and it was nice because Kelly, like, sometimes if you did extra classes, she would always carry it over in a different week. But so there's 6 months of this in the studio training, and then 6 months after was more of the teaching, and after you graduated from the scholarship program, which was in July of 2015, you get to put in her company. And also there was an award for Scholarship Student of the Year, and whoever won the prestigious award got to go on tour with Kelly down to South Africa. And I was lucky enough to receive the award. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Went with Kelly Yvonne, and I helped taught at Pole Camp South Africa, and it was very fun. I met lots of students. It was very inspiring, and it was my first time out of the U.S., so it was, knock them all down. So I was really happy. Now I can put, went to South Africa on my resume.
Yeah, that's so great. It's like pole dance college. You take classes and you learn how to teach and you learn how to perform and you get to.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a time commitment, though. I could imagine that are you able to juggle something like that with a full-time job or not really?
It was interesting for me because I was actually going to school at UCLA at the time. And when I was at UCLA, what I would do is, I know my parents would hate me for this, but
They're probably not listening, but
I know.
Moms don't know how to use podcasts.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, but I would schedule my classes around my pole. So I'd always put my pole, I would put my, regular scheduled classes always in the beginning of my day. So I'd wake up at 8 and go to school till 12, and the studio wouldn't open till around 2 or 3. So at night I would just do my pole, and pole's very, very special to me. So I treated pole more seriously than I did treat my college degree at UCLA. I did graduate, so I did that. But it was just very interesting, and especially since I'm a sociology major, I get to see kind of intertwine my college and pole because you get to see community, and you get to see, especially, I did write a paper about, the topic was being an X among Ys, and I did talk about being a male among a female-dominated industry. So again, it kind of funny how life just likes to blend both worlds together.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take the opportunities when they present themselves, and
yes,
and it's true. You never know what the future holds.
I know.
Always good to
trust me. I would never believe I am where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so let's go back about this paper you wrote because let's touch on what is it like to be a guy in the pole dance world?
It's very interesting.
Okay.
The good thing that I like about it is, speaking for myself, I mean, surprise, I'm gay. Oh my gosh, surprise. So usually...
Oh, sorry, I didn't set that up yet.
Right? I'm pretty sure you guys are like, wait, what? He is? I'm so shocked. The thing about that, what I really like is that, even most of my students are female, so they do feel very comfortable, oh, sorry, just on the earpiece. They do feel very comfortable, coming into a studio, with a gay man. Because, I mean, for me, I'm not trying to be up in your goods. I'm here doing my job. And for me, I did grow up around women a lot. So it was, basically just how I'm very comfortable around women. On the other side, sometimes I feel like I would make a little bit more money because, I feel that outside of the pole and dance industry, when people do hire pole dance performers, they typically are women. So it's like I lose out on that. And the other side is, if they do want men, it's usually they want huge, buff guys doing, crazy stuff. And I mean, I'm not super jacked or anything, but then again, that does leave me out. So I feel when it comes to the community, I do feel very welcomed. It is easy, and I'm sure when people really get to understand pole dancing and then understand like big athletes such as like Stephen Retchless, one of my good friends, Monica L. I'm trying to think of other people like Josiah. The list goes on and on and on. You get really comfortable when you understand. We're all in this together. We both share a hobby that we both love. The difference is you're a woman and I'm a man. But the thing is, that's not going to stop us. We're not in love with each other. We're in love with our poles, Please, no pun intended. But we do love the pole. So I do think that as time gets on, and this is why I'm super glad I'm on this podcast right now, because it does show that, guys are out there doing this too. We have the same struggles as you. I was a student too. There's some moves where I can't, where I get frustrated and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to leave the studio crying. I get that too. And I do think, and I haven't had any negative reactions towards it. I mean, the only times would be like when level 1 students come in, they're kind of like, oh, there's a guy in the studio. But then they understand like I'm in my own world, I'm not trying to rope up on you. Trust me. I'll probably ask you out for coffee because that's what I like to do with my students. I'm like, oh my gosh, just welcome them in. And I always say that we're all friends. Like I don't even people around the world halfway don't know you, but you're my friend because we both pole dance and we'd get along. And I always think, especially when I was traveling around the world, I really noticed that pole is a universal language. I was getting very homesick when I was, because me and Kelly Vaughn, who runs the Choreography House program, me and her were traveling around Europe, and halfway through I was getting very homesick. But once I hit South Africa and went to the pole studio, it was so nice. It was like I was home. All the girls there were like, we all spoke the universal language of pole. And it was so comforting. So going back to the question about how does it feel being a guy, I feel very at home. Especially going through dance, burlesque was, here and there I was kind of iffy. But once I got to pole, I understand this is what I was meant to do. And this is how I let my stressors out. And this is how I really be me. So... And also, you have tons of friends in pole. So, as Dita Von Teese says, you might be the brightest, sweetest peach in the world, but there's still going to be someone who hates peaches.
Yes, I love that quote.
So my favorites. So,
or fuck the haters. I just like that one as well, if you want to simplify it.
Basically, the Spark No version is just fuck the haters.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear you've had a good experience because, in all honesty, I was very skeptical of men in pole dance when I started. And I'll also be honest that I don't know if I would have the same feeling about straight men. I've never, I've danced with gay men a lot and feel really comfortable like that. I don't know if I would feel that about a straight man, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
And
I
not your
met
experience.
a lot of straight polers who actually have said that too, and again, it goes down. It doesn't matter about sexuality, gay, straight. We're still all guys,
Mm-hmm.
We're still all guys, and I think that all guys should just be treated fairly. And I do think that I would like to see more of like an upbringing of guys. That's why I love it when every time I go to competitions. For example, a couple weeks ago was the Pacific Pole Championships in Los Angeles, and it was really nice to finally see guys like in the lower level divisions because a couple years ago I did it too, and I felt like I was the only guy other than the male professionals that was doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's very nice to see slowly more and more guys. So I'm like fighting for the guys, and even if straight guys are skeptical of like, oh, I don't want to go to pole because it's a girls sport. Mm-hmm. there's tons of like, power, especially if you look at some of the Russian pole dancers, those guys are
Oh
crazy, and
my gosh.
you don't have to make pole feminine. You can make it super masculine. A perfect example was Stephen Retchless at Pole Expo last year when he did his Magic Mike routine.
Yes, I saw that.
It's super. It's a great way to represent straight men, and I do think that I love seeing that masculine side of pole. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, for those listening that have no idea what we're talking about, Stephen Ratchels is known for doing really like hot, sexy, like in heels routines. That's just his thing. But he did a performance in Vegas at Pole Expo last year, Pole Expo 2015, and it was so hyper masculine, but still sexy. But it was a Magic Mike inspired, in sneakers. But it was very eye opening that he brought this like male sex appeal, integrated it into pole, and it worked so well. So if I can find that video online, I'll put it in the show notes for people to check out.
Yes.
It's a new frontier, and people are discovering new things all the time. And the men in pole are here to stay. So it's just figuring out how to make it work, and make it best for everyone.
Ladies, we're your friends. Trust us. We all love each other. So
yeah. Well, glad to hear you have a good experience. And so, are you a pole dancer full time? Is that your livelihood right now?
As of right now, I am. I mean, I'm not like, as I say, I'm not like Scrooge McDuck in my bathtub full of coins. But I am a full-time pole dance instructor. So I teach pole literally about 7 days a week, and those other hours, I'm still pole dancing. I'm still learning tricks I see on Instagram and stuff. But it's a fun sport. I'm glad I can say I'm doing what I love.
Are you doing anything else besides teaching? Are you performing? Are you concentrating on training for competitions and building a brand that way? What's your trajectory?
As of right now, I am, because my competition is in a week, April 16th for Napa. So right now I am in the competition mode, and I get tunnel vision. That's how I am. But otherwise, one of my biggest highs in life is performing. I love performing on a stage, and I love making people smile when they perform. I always say never want people to feel sad. That's why if you ever watch any of my performances, I always use trap music, upbeat songs, because I always use this term as the nightclub mentality, is I always want people to feel hyped up, and I want people to be like, oh, I love this song, and I just want to dance with them. So that's why I never want people to feel sad when they're watching me. So I really love performing. I love making people smile. I love when, people go wild and crazy. So it is a fun outlet for me. So anytime I'm not teaching, I'm either prepping for a performance or I'm prepping for a competition.
Yeah, and you're a little less than 3 years. You're very new to pole in the grand scheme of things. So it's good that you're exploring all different outlets and really still getting your name out there.
Oh, thank you. Yes, trust me, it's a work in progress. One of my I think my biggest leap in really throwing my trajectory forward was definitely entering these competitions and kind of just letting Veronica take her wing over. And I did make, and I had to brand myself as a business. One of my publicist, Shane Evans, she has been amazing. If you guys know her on Instagram, Shane Babe.
Yeah, she's coming on the podcast soon.
Oh,
so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She was one who really helped me. It was just, she used to work at Choreography House, and one day she was like, I was like, hey, she was like, you want to try, being my Instagram, publicist? And instantly, right when that happened, everything came into line. She was just amazing, and she's really impacted my life in a positive way and really helped me build my brand. I have no idea what that brand is going to be yet, but I want to do one thing at a time. I want to start trying to get, touring a little bit more. I want to, find hopefully a tour manager. We'll see. Because that's what I want to do. I want to travel, and I want to share my experiences with everyone around the world. So yeah, it's just, it's a lot It's a lot of work, you guys, but it does pay off. It does pay off. You always got to say, reward your future selves. Something, I was a student too. There's some things that I used to look up at the stars like Stephen Retchless and Josiah, and now I'm super thankful I can call these guys my friends. And it does take a lot, but you always got to remember, I never saw myself as being a huge pole athlete, and people sometimes call me a pole celebrity, and I never want to feel like a pole celebrity, but it's like, I am me. I'm just Brian. I'm just trying to work and I'm trying to enjoy my hobby. And I love that you guys are coming along with this journey for me. And like I said, you guys are all my friends. But it's very rewarding. It's a great experience. And I'm super glad I found this amazing community to help me out. And
yeah, it's you can just tell in your voice you're enjoying it and you're loving it, and that's what makes people successful. When it becomes a chore, when you don't like it anymore, when it really does become like that dreaded job, that's when you have to reevaluate things. And it's just so refreshing. That's why I love having this podcast, is bringing on people who like love what they do and love being in the pole community, because the energy is contagious.
Oh, totally. It's a great one. It's like I said, the energy, and everyone just know that, stuff in your future, it's not, it's going to get better. No matter if you're having, trouble with your Superman, trust me, I hated the Superman. And then eventually in a couple months you get it and you're like, okay, next one. It's just like, we're just so hungry for it nowadays.
Yeah, and you mentioned social media before. You're a millennial, I think, or you're young, so you get the whole social media thing. So I was just wondering if you had any advice, because I noticed you said you have Shane, but you've been very successful with your social media. Do you have any advice for people out there that are looking to grow their self on social media as a pole dancer?
Yeah, of course. I always recommend, hashtagging stuff, and I always say, if you ever look at my stuff on my social media, I always give credit to the people who create. And I do think that is very, very important, because I do not want to be considered plagiarizing anything in any way. So, even it gets annoying, like, okay, Brian, I know you mentioned like Olga Koda like 60 times. I'm like, it's because I'm giving credit, and she's like my Oprah, so I cannot like have her mad. So I just feel like definitely having, going day, posting often. I definitely recommend posting often. Yes, consistency. I've been super bad, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm in training mode. But after training mode, you'll get a lot more videos from me. Hashtagging, and definitely if you guys want to check out Shane's stuff, it's Vertical Life PR. She's an amazing publicist. I've been working with her for almost 2 years now, and I keep going. She's my Aussie. She's my Australian lover.
It's interesting because again, it was last week's podcast, speaking with Alethea, we talked about sometimes you need to bring in business experts if you want to take yourself to the next level, and it looks like that's what you did. There's only so much time in the day, and it's not that you're not being authentic on social media. It sounds like that she's helping you be more successful. It's not like you've outsourced your...
Oh no, it's still teamwork. Most of my stuff on social media is me. Most of it is me, it's just, again, I just hashtag a lot. Hashtag. Just find it normal.
Hashtag, be consistent, give credit and respect, because also, then people looking for them could find you as well. And just having people respect you within the community. It is a small community, and to be like, oh, that Brian Wolf, he is just always so respectful, and I appreciate him, giving homage to me and something that he saw me do first, and that grows. To have a good reputation is
yes. Again, that's one thing. It is a small industry, so I do recommend, keep that in mind. I always keep that in mind with stuff. I never, ever want to step on toes. I never like to burn bridges, because, somewhere or another, you always got to come back to it. So it's definitely one thing to really keep in mind. I think that especially lately, I've been noticing there's been a lot of negativity in the industry, going on with some stuff that hasn't been so, what's the word? I'll just say nice. People haven't been
More
nice.
dramatic.
Exactly. And I do recommend, you guys got to remember, we're all in this hobby together. People, we are in our own little world of pole, but you got to look at the big picture. People who are lawyers in Wisconsin are not thinking about pole dancing, if they're not pole dancing, but if they're not, they're not thinking about us in a small factor. So I do think we really need to stick together. We need to be really respectful towards each other. And I do definitely, one of my biggest idols is RuPaul, of course, but RuPaul really stresses on, we gotta love each other. And I know I go, again, I speak one thing, I always speak about my pole family. They are my, I have my pole mother and my pole sisters. And if I can't go to my real, mother and sister, I can't go to anyone else. So I go to my pole sisters, and they always have, they always have a mean heart. I always text Veronica every single day. I always tell them I love them. I do treat them like a family, because we do choose our families. And it's one thing to really understand, if anything's going on, you can always just talk to us. Even if you guys don't know me, just message me. I'll always get back to you one way or another. If I don't, it's probably because I'm going crazy, but I will.
Mode.
Exactly. But I will get back to you one way or another. And we're all in this world together. Let's not tarnish the pole.
Yeah, we're not politicians.
Yes, exactly.
We're not, and we're not, doing, life-saving surgeries or anything like that. But we're artists, and that is just as important in society, but it shouldn't be as stressful and as dramatic. So
exactly.
That's a fantastic message.
Mm-hmm.
Because you forget, you get so drawn into things, and it does get to be like your family, where you see, if you've been polling. I've personally been polling for 3 years, and at pretty much the same studio, and I see that my family's on the East Coast, so I see that more than my real family, and my real family drives me nuts. So your pole family's going to drive you nuts sometimes too. That's what families do. But when you love each other, you hold yourself to a higher level of respect and know how to act. Yes,
of course. And I do. Yeah. Remember, we're all in this world together. We can't be fighting. We can't be, there shouldn't be any negativity. It should always just be positive outlook at life. Sometimes you get, in the shitter, and you're like, oh, I hate pole right now, but let's be real.
Take a break.
Actually, take a break. And by break, I mean 2 days off, and you'll be fine the next day,
Yeah, it's great. And communication skills are important, learning to talk things out, maybe privately, or, it's adulting, guys. Adulting. Yes. Drama's inevitable, but listen to Brian's message of loving your pole family, and it may inspire you to act in a different way sometimes.
Yes.
Cool. So back to some of our standard questions as we're headed into the second part of the interview. So you mentioned that you loved Steve Reckless and Josiah, who is also known as Badass.
Yeah.
Who I will put both of these people in the show notes if people want to look them up, if they're not familiar with them, but they're both very well-known men of pole dancers. And maybe it's one of them, but who is your pole crush? It can be one of those.
My goal in life is to meet her. I have the biggest pole crush on Olga Koda. She is... The thing about Olga, what really helped me, is I was at a point in my dancing where I was like, I don't know what I should focus on, and I don't know what really feels good in my body. I heard of Olga Koda a couple years ago from a really good, from one of my pole sisters, actually, and I decided, I'll look her up, and I looked her up, and she almost made me cry because I was so excited, and I always give homage to her. I just feel her movements are very natural to me, and I really feel I feel like I can grow. She really gave me a great base to grow. And again, I've never met her, I've never talked to her. Maybe through Instagram, here and there, but she's been a huge, huge impact on my career. So hands down, it's like if I ever meet her, I said the two people who I'll get starstruck on are Olga Koda and Rihanna. Those are my two people who I would probably like lose my shit. I would probably not. I don't know what I'd do. I remember I was at Pole Show LA one time, run by Leanne Riley over in Hollywood. Big, huge, spectacular. And Olga was performing. And, and I was sitting, I was doing press, and she walked by me, and I literally was like, don't stare. But I had to. I mean,
dork wave.
Yeah, exactly. She has been a huge, huge impact of mine. I know she might not know it, but if Olga's ever watching this, she has been crazy, and I cannot thank her enough for everything she's done. She's been so helpful in my pole journey, and it's just fun to kind of just put on heels and kind of just let your body go. She's, especially if you guys are looking for some great flow, she's an amazing queen of the floor. I mean, she's just like crazy, her heels, and a lot of my stuff is heavily inspired by her. So she's my greatest muse. Who else? I want to say Marlo Fiskin, of course. Marlo is definitely a huge crush of mine. Of course, my sisters. I got to give it out for my skanky sister Nadia Sharif. She's I can call her about anything. And Bryn Root, who's my little weird astronaut mermaid, who I do not know what she's doing, but she's my special child. I love her. And, of course, Veronica. I just have a bunch of pole crushes, pole lovers. Sasha, Anakia, all my girls.
Aww. Well, I'll give you a little advice. I did meet Olga very briefly once, and she doesn't speak English, so she's not listening to this podcast.
I know.
I said something to her, and she blankly looked at me.
Yeah, I was talking to my friend Travis Scott, and he said, because I was telling him, because he was in Alex Shukin's competition, and he was with Olga for a while, and he said she doesn't speak English at all. But I was like, but he was like, she was cool otherwise, like once you like the translating stuff. So I was like, okay, at least I have a chance.
Be prepared when you meet her to have some like non-English type of communication ready to.
I'll speak the world of pole. I'm going to give her a hug. But like just
the international language of pole.
Like the natural language of pole. International language of pole.
She'll get it. Awesome. And so, how would you like to see the pole community evolve over the next 5 years?
This is a very good question. Obviously, like I said, I'd love to see more guys represent the community. I do love events like Pole Expo, Pole Con. I do think those are great events where people all around the world just come together. It's kind of like if you, I will admit, I've gone to like Comic-Con a couple years ago. But the thing about that is that it's everyone from all over the world are just coming together for something they love. People are dressing up in Comic-Con. It's just everyone. It's like you don't care if you're nerdy. You don't care at all if you like comics. You're just going because you want to meet other people and you want to see what like vendors have. And it's the same with PoleCon and Pole Expo. It's like a bunch of people around the world are just coming together for the love of pole. You get to take workshops with all your favorite pole celebrities. You get to, meet them out, here and there. And especially since it's in Vegas. I mean, it's in Vegas. So again, me and my best friend Veronica, when we went, me and him literally just sat at the pool all day and we, have drinks with Amy Hazel. And, I would see Marlo here and there and just say, hey. And when we went to the Bad Kitty party, it was just, everyone doing stuff. Lux ATL doing her amazing floor work on the pool table. And
I was there. I saw that. Yeah, she's crazy. I love Lux.
She's amazing. So it's just a great event. On the other side, I do think it is important to talk about how I would like to see more of set prices about pole classes. I feel that as the time goes on, I feel competitions with studios, I do feel prices are going down, good for the consumer, but then again, it does ricochet up to the studio and up to the instructors. So I'd love to see more of a standard, like a pole standard of how a pole class should be priced. Going along that line, I do agree with that in the aspects of performing. I feel sometimes, I don't think it's necessarily our duty, but I do think it is our duty to tell club promoters that I'm not doing a pole dancing gig for $50. I'm not doing a pole dancing gig for, $100. I do think that we are athletes and we're doing something that 95% of the population cannot do. So I do think that we need to have a little bit, I do feel like I would like to see more standard regulation rates upon classes, performing. And I do think that, we should try to at least put, I want to see more income with the industry, and I want to see, not for greed reasons, but I do feel like it is fair for everyone. And I do think that, instead of sinking each other's ships, I do think that we should just come together and, for the love of pole, let's all just come together. So that's my thing, is I'd really just love to see more, more events and more, I like, standard regulations with pricing and all that. So
oh yeah, it comes up every damn week. So this is such an issue. There is at Miss Pole Dance America in Nashville, which is May 14th, there is a studio owner summit where I know that is something that they're going to talk about. So if there's any studio owners listening, check that out. It's a link to it on the Miss Pole Dance America page. But also, as you said, and other people have said this, stop working for free.
Yeah.
And
big thing. I do, coming up for free is good. Like, once you're coming up, and trust me, I've taken free gigs here and there, but there comes a point where I'm like, I'm 3 years into pole. I have a regional title. I'm trying to, I'm traveling. I travel to Africa. I'm going on a tour to Colorado in a couple weeks. I should not be performing for free, because I do feel that I've definitely done my time, and I've put a lot of time and effort. And the thing is, you got to think about, you guys, is if say club, I don't know, I'm making up a Club Roxbury or something. I'll just think of it like Night at the Roxbury. I love that movie. But if they hire a pole dancer for $50, that's going to be their limit. They're not going to hire they're not going to hire a pole dancer over $50. So I do think it just hurts our industry. And I do think that we all should be respectful artists and respectful with booking.
Yeah,
stuff.
And there are the free gigs that you take, and those are, for friends, or when you're just getting started, or when it's not is this a club? Is making a lot of money? Like, is this a an event, a corporate event where you're, where there is money involved? Like, if everyone holds their standards higher for that, then that's how you make change. But yeah, in no circumstance am I, saying there's no instances where you could just go and dance for free. But those, not if you're a professional dancer, and you need to pay the bills. So, and you need to elevate the level of appreciation of the skills of pole dancers.
Yes, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I talked. Sorry.
Giving
you a break. Yes, and more pole events, Pole Expo, Pole Con, and I'm sure there are international ones too. So, if hit me up on the Facebook group if you know of any pole dance conventions, expos, things like that internationally. I know those are the two big ones in the United States. So
yeah, because I think Pole Con is coming up in the second.
I think it's the first weekend of June in Texas.
Yeah.
And then Pole Expo will be the first weekend of September in Vegas.
All I know is I just block out September. I'm like, Expo, sometime around there.
It's not all of September. It's the first weekend. I'll selflessly promote that I will be there with a booth. And
fantastic. I'll come visit.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be there performing or doing something.
Yes, I'll be doing something. You'll either find me at the bar,
or just drinking and hanging out at the pool.
Yeah, just find me at the pool. I'll have my booth at the pool. I have my little floaty. I like those pizza floaties people are putting out. You'll find me on the pizza floaty in the Hard Rock pool.
Yeah.
That's where
those events are cool because you just have fun and you get to party and chill and meet people from across the country and across the world, and then you get that sense of family in you. So
That's what the community is all about. It's family. Family, family, family. I love
Yeah,
it.
you're the first one to bring that up, so I like that answer.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
And so do you have, can you share with us, how can people find you on social media, and do you have anything coming up that you want to promote?
So this is a plugging out, right?
Yeah,
I was like,
away.
okay, plug. So you guys can follow me on social media. My Instagram handle is at booboobrian, BOOBOOBRIAN. Super, super, super easy. I'm not really that active on Twitter, but if you guys, same thing on Twitter. But again, you guys are going to see really weird posts of when I thought I was funny in the 7th grade on Twitter that are not that funny anymore. So just ignore that. So I definitely recommend Instagram. Also, add me on Facebook, Brian Wolf, exactly like the animal, WOLF. Coming up, if you guys are in the Los Angeles area, there is the 2016 National Aerial Pole Art, which will be held in Burbank. So that's April 16th. So I think that is 2 Saturdays, I think. Yes, 2 Saturdays. So I'll be...
One Saturday by the time this gets posted.
By the time this goes posted. So that will be happening on the 16th. It's very fun. It's a great way. You can see, I'm trying to think, Brandon Grimm is doing a special performance. Sasha Lee will be doing a performance. So it'll be a great way to kind of, get to see people compete. So it's going to be stressful for me, but you guys will have fun watching it. So I'll be performing. You trust me, you don't want to miss this competition piece that me and Miss Veronica have created up. Coming up, there is, I will be going on tour in Denver. So if you guys are in the Colorado area, I'll be going on tour from April 21st through May 8th at T's Dance Studio in Denver. So make sure to come play with me in Denver. I want to see my Denver folks. It's kind of funny how it works out because I was born in Colorado. Now it's like I'm finally going back after years and years, but it's for pole. So all my sense is hitting me up. Also, I will be performing in Kelly Yvonne's show 7. That's coming up on May 14th. So if you guys are in the LA area, that is going to be at Boulevard 3. So definitely look out for that. Trying to think about anything else. I do teach around classes in North Hollywood. So I'm at Veritude, Luscious Maven, Choreography House, Metamorphosis. So definitely hit me up. And again, if you guys ever want to chat with me, say hi, just send me a message on Facebook. We're all friends.
We're all pole friends.
We're all pole friends. I'll give you all pole hugs.
And then, so on that note, can you leave us with some type of empowering message or quote or anecdote?
Yes. I will give this quote to one of my good friends, Nadia. She told
Nadia
this
Sharif, right?
Nadia Sharif,
Okay.
yes. She told me this back when I was once I was starting to perform at PVC a couple weeks ago. So I was very wound up. I was like, I don't know. And she sent me this, and she says, perform like you've never lost and practice like you've never won.
Oh.
So it's one of those things where it's it just gives you a powerful quote,
I like that.
It just helps you. And I always say, be yourself and be different. I always tell my students, dancing should be a thumbprint. I don't want people, unless it's really cool, if you guys are doing group stuff, then you can be 2 thumbprints, but always just be really individual. Find something you love. Don't, dance like you. Dance what makes you feel good. And I definitely express the love of pole, and I think everyone should have a really good experience in this hobby, and I don't want to see anything negative coming out of this hobby. And I do think, of course we can talk about the whole stigma about pole dancing, but I do think that, even though we all are under a certain stigma, I do think that we do need to stick together, and I do think that we all need to be kind to one another.
Oh.
If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else?
Love yourself, love others.
Exactly. Very hippie today, can't you guys tell?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, well, Brian, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be on this podcast. I've been watching your guys' episodes, so I'm so excited to finally represent the men and
awesome.
Be here. So thank you so much, Minxxx. I love you.
You're welcome. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Isn't he fun? Would you like to hang out and dance with Brian? Will you be in the Los Angeles area the evening of Friday, May 27th, 2016? Well, if so, come check out Parlour Play. Parlour Play is a non-pole event for pole dancers. We'll be doing mini workshops, including one by Brian, as well as dance-offs, costume contest, and free play, all with some pumpin' tunes and an open bar. So come out to meet and let loose with your fellow polers. It's going to be really fun. Visit poleparlor.com for more information. Hope to see y'all there. Thank you for listening to the Pole Parlor podcast. Want more? Visit poleparlor.com for show notes and to link to the Facebook group where you can connect with other poloholics and continue the conversation. Listen to past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on the website, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Lots of love, babes. Thanks for listening.